So, Kev, 5 games unbeaten now, coming into a matchup with the league leaders. How important has it been to build up a run like this again?
I think it goes without saying that you want positive results. I think points returns good and on target, and in the right place of where we want to be. We always want more, of course, and you can see the league forming to a certain extent if you want. And obviously Carlisle done ever so well, to be up the top of the league. So listen, we know the challenges it's going to present, but we're ready and looking forward to it.
It's another short turnaround. You spoke about the need to manage some of the players' minutes to get working. So how are the squad doing ahead of Saturday?
Yeah, good. Listen, a few bumps and bruises from the other night. Obviously playing Saturday 10 men, playing Wednesday night. And it's a 3-game week, which we used the squad. We had some changes the other night, so we'll see how everyone is. But not too bad, in decent shape.
Looking at Carlisle, what are you expecting from Mark Hughes and his team?
Yeah, listen, a real tough game, a real intense game. I think they're going to bring a lot of fans as well, which is a credit to them and their football club. Coming down into the National League's always a bit of disappointment for teams that do it, but they've handled it ever so well as a football club, and Mark and his staff have done brilliantly to if you want to halt the slide if you want, but to get them where they are is a credit to them. But yeah, listen, threats they've got, and we're bringing in Con Clark and Linney and Kelly up top, and the pace on the side, and so they've got plenty of threat there, of course. But not just that, I think they're a really organised, well-drilled team, and you don't just get to where they are with just a few players. It's the whole team.
And with 8,300 tickets already sold for Saturday's game, how important can that big crowd be at Writsall? Yeah,
of course. I think it's hugely important, and it's important we give them stuff to cheer as well, and they can feed off that, and we can feed off them. It's similar in both clubs. In Carlisle, the number of fans they get. So, listen, it makes for a great game, and on the TV, of course, which adds an extra bit. But it's about doing what we do right, and doing the basics right and doing everything we need to do to win the game. And I think it makes for a good game.
Perfect. Thanks, Kev.
Brilliant. Kevin, it's great to keep the unbeaten run going in the league with the game at Woke. What was the biggest takeaway from Lethwaite's?
Just the resilience in terms of it could have easily got away from you the game when you won down that late in the game, of course, and for Bridgie to produce a moment of magic. Listen, I said it the other night, I think it's a sign of a very good team that keeps going and keeps getting late points. So that's a credit to the players on that.
You said something in your post-match interview as well. You said you want to keep taking that next step. So what exactly does that look like? What does it look like over these couple of 48 hours?
Yeah, just keep pushing on, not resting on our laurels, and keep adding points to the board. I think if you look at our goal difference is okay. We want to keep adding to that, of course. Clean sheets are important and not conceding. So it's that next step of let's keep adding to it. Let's not sit back. Let's not just be comfortable. And we're always driving to put last result behind us, but looking forward to the next one.
I mean, with that equaliser from Jack Bridge in the 94th, and you've had 3 goals scored across the last 2 league games in late on in games. What do you think this says about Southend United, the way those goals have come?
I think it tells you everything in terms of the ones that came on, the impact they've made, and I think it's the strength of squad that's always needed. I think it's a desire to always, whether it's win the game or get a result from it or get something from the game. We always go to win. Always. So even the other night, lots of possession, lots of things. Had a couple of moments that you need to go your way, and if you can take the lead, then the game changes a little bit. But always to keep going, never to give up. And I think that's something that's been a hallmark of this team and of us for the last few years.
And I suppose, with Jack Bridge scoring that one as well, so you said he'd had limited minutes. It shows you talk a lot about the competition as well. Yeah. Everyone needs to be ready. Yeah. It's a personification of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and all credit to him. He's had to bide his time for moments to come, and that's the competition, as I say. And when you do get those chances, if it is only minutes, you've got to try and show exactly what you can do, because that only enhances your position.
Just on the team side, what is just Noel Hussein and Charlie Kendall?
Yeah, still not yet. Charlie's still not on the grass. He's doing some work away from the club. Hopefully, next week, and then he'll be able to go. Hopefully, be with us soon. It's just dragged on longer, but we've got to get it right. And Noel's still early days of his recovery, and doing a lot of work away from here at the minute. And listen, I think for him it's the mental side of it as well, which is going to be a huge challenge. And we're here for him, and anything he needs, and we just keep monitoring him and make sure he's part of the team.
Now, it's been already stated how big a game it is this weekend. Carlisle United have dropped down from League Two, as you said, well drilled themselves, but not impenetrable. They've had a couple of defeats in there as well. What sort of areas do you think will be key for Southend's game to get the best out of them?
Listen, I think you can win football games anyway, and you can, like vice versa, you can lose them. So, listen, we know our strengths. We know what we can do to hurt teams. And likewise with them, they've got threats. But as you say, I think they've lost a few, we've lost a few. So it's quite tight, to be fair, up the top. So it's what happens when you cross the white line, and they've shown they've started the season ever so well, considering they've relegated last year, of course. But that's a credit to them. What we do is always focus on ourselves. Really, we obviously look at the threats they've got, and they have got some, of course. But we've got to get us right.
As we've already said, obviously looking to pack Roots Hall, it's been billed as one of the biggest non-league games of the season, of course with the whole TikTok streaming as well. I mean, what does it say about perhaps maybe what's at stake in this game and the competitiveness of the league as a whole?
I don't know the whole TikTok thing. I don't know what that is going to add to us. I don't know. But in terms of the focus is always on the game. It's brilliant that it's getting some noise around it, and it credit to, I've got to say, our fans for the numbers they turn up is incredible, and credit to Carlisle for the numbers they bring as well, because it's two proper football clubs, I've got to say. And it shows the level, the competitive nature of the level, and how tough a league it is, because two big clubs. We always find ourselves that we are for whatever reason, but you've got to make the most of that, and I think both teams are doing that.
Thank you.
I know it's subjective, but do you think this is the two biggest clubs in the league going head to head at the weekend?
It depends how you describe big clubs. I think if you're talking fan bases, yeah, I think there's that. I think in terms of numbers that come to watch games and stuff, there's loads of myriad of things you could put towards what becomes a big club. And there's always this. You've seen huge clubs be down the wrong end of the table. We've had it, and acting like a big club doesn't always happen, because you see what people have slid down leagues because they haven't acted like big clubs, if you want, and they can get into trouble. But in terms of fan bases and catchment areas and previous histories of what clubs have had, then I think there's every case for that.
Yeah, and historically it's a good week for the club to beat Manchester United legends. So you're facing another one on Saturday, and it's sort of good as a high calibre sort of manager. Yeah,
no, absolutely, and someone who's managed at the very highest level, and I think it's shows that the willingness of Mark to obviously want to manage, and to step down to this level and do what he's done is credit to him and his staff. And I think to the National League as well, when you see the calibre of manager that's been in it and has got out of the league, so it's a good test for us, for me personally, of course, but it's always about the two teams, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's the first time we've spoken to you properly since George Wynn's gone. Was that just to sort of get him games, and could there be any other movement in terms of others going out on loan and others coming in?
Important that George went out and got minutes, and we need to balance stuff as well. So that was important, but it's him. When he's not played regular, we've had, like Gus's form's been, unbelievable since he's been here. So maybe limited minutes, but no harm. We've got a call back on George when if we need it at the right time. So it's important he goes out and plays. Maybe someone else may be going out possibly, but we're waiting to see on that.
Yeah, and in terms of, been a lot of talk about the speed of our play in sort of recent weeks, but it's about sort of being patient, isn't it? And I know it's a bit of a bugbear, but it's sort of about getting it right, isn't it?
I haven't read anything about that, but when you've got the ball, the other team can't score, for one. You watch the teams, you watch Rochdale, top team, very good team. York spend a lot of time with the ball. Our goals scored is right up there, I think, with Forest Green. We haven't conceded loads, along with Rochdale, I think, and one or two others. So you've got to do both, and we're doing okay at both at the minute. And it's about choosing the right pass at the right time. Whether that's forward, sideways, or a higher risk one, no problem. You can it's that right decision, right time. The best players always seem to make it.
And how good to have Ben Goodliff back, but also Joe Cummings coming in and showed that he's very dependable himself. So I guess you've got a decision there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, losing Goody was a loss, of course. But I thought Joe come in and done ever so well. And he's done that before and showed when he's called upon, he's ready, of course. And, you know, you need that competition. We keep saying it. And because, you know, there's no let up in this league. Every game's a tough one. And everyone's going to play their part.